I've always been fascinated by the urban legends surrounding the underground tunnels beneath my city. As a thrill-seeker and amateur explorer, I couldn't resist the temptation to venture into the unknown. I spent weeks researching, poring over old maps and blueprints, trying to find an entrance to the fabled tunnels. Finally, after months of searching, I stumbled upon an abandoned maintenance shaft in an old, run-down building on the outskirts of town. The shaft was hidden behind a false wall, and it took me hours to pry the rusty door open. As I made my way down the creaky ladder, the air grew thick with the stench of decay and mold. I could feel the weight of the city above me, the rumble of cars and chatter of pedestrians muffled by the concrete. My heart racing, I fumbled for my flashlight and clicked it on, casting flickering shadows on the walls. The tunnel stretched out before me, a seemingly endless expanse of damp, gray concrete. I began to walk, my footsteps echoing off the walls. The air was cold and clammy, and I could see my breath misting in the beam of my flashlight. As I walked, the tunnel began to slope downward, and I found myself descending deeper into the earth. The walls began to change, the concrete giving way to rough-hewn stone. I could hear the sound of dripping water, and the smell of mold grew stronger. I started to feel a creeping sense of dread, as if I was being watched. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just my imagination. But the feeling only intensified as I walked. The tunnel began to narrow, the ceiling dropping lower until I had to crouch to avoid hitting my head. I could feel the weight of the earth above me, the pressure building in my ears. Suddenly, I heard a faint whispering in my ear. It was soft and raspy, and it seemed to be coming from all around me. I spun around, but there was no one there. The whispering grew louder, more urgent, and I could make out words. "Turn back now," it seemed to be saying, "while you still can." I tried to run, but my feet felt heavy, as if they were rooted to the spot. The whispering grew louder still, until it was almost deafening. And then, everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the floor of the tunnel, my head pounding. The whispering had stopped, and the silence was oppressive. I stumbled to my feet, desperate to get out of the tunnel. As I turned to make my way back, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The walls of the tunnel were covered in old, faded signs. "Do not proceed," they read. "Danger. Unstable rock." But it was the symbol beneath the words that made my heart skip a beat. It was a crude, hand-drawn picture of a skull, with two eyes that seemed to stare straight into my soul. I knew then that I had stumbled into something much bigger, and much more sinister, than I had ever imagined. I turned and ran, not stopping until I emerged back into the bright, sunlight-filled world above. I never went back to those tunnels, and I never spoke of what I saw. But sometimes, in the dead of night, I can still hear the whispering. "Turn back now," it says, "while you still can."